Yo, listen man, it is a day to be remembered. It is officially the 20th anniversary since the very first release of the original Fate Stay Night, and we just came off the back of Type Moon doing their live stream to celebrate. The biggest hitter that we have coming from that is a remaster of Rialta Nua being brought to the West. It's going to be in English, it's going to be in Chinese, and of course in the original language. This is not just a really huge step for Fate, but Type Moon and all. It finally puts the nail in the coffin of one of the many things that have been asked for years and years and years. And now if anybody wants a proper way to get into the series, that will be available to them. Right now it's slated to just be on Nintendo Switch and Steam. I'm sure they'll extend those out eventually, but at the very least, that's a good place to start, right? I will say, just from the live stream itself, everybody looks good. Crazy how they're so into their roles that they sound exactly how they did back then. Even at an older age, they're all really good at what they do. Still wishing the best for them. Before we get into the extras, I will be the one to address the elephant in the room, because I know a lot of people aren't going to do that. I'm super ingrained into the community at this point, so I feel like it's necessary, and I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. What they did on that live stream was kind of bogus. It was kind of bogus. I'm not gonna fake. There were a lot of pitfalls. I'm happy that they did prioritize getting the remaster out, because that is absolutely necessary even still. And then there's the other side where it's like, for the 20th anniversary, they definitely could have did a little bit more. Definitely could have did more. The live stream itself was only an hour, maybe just a little bit more than that. And the main thing that a lot of people were hoping and wishing for was to finally get that adaptation of the Fate route. We didn't get that. They didn't speak anything of it. And honestly, at this point, it almost feels like they're trying to act like the route doesn't even exist, at least to me. And he has went on record saying how he's embarrassed how that route came together. We've covered that on the channel. Maybe I'm tripping, but I just find it kind of odd that they're going out of their way to weave not making the first book of the story. It's the strangest thing ever to me. And Fate isn't even my favorite route. UB-Dub is. I don't care how much context somebody think that they might have. We would always welcome with open arms that original introduction, because if we're celebrating where it all comes from, if we're celebrating where it truly all started, it almost seems like a slight to not bring Fate into the equation. So I will say that. Another thing that I'm noticing about the remaster that they did give out, I don't know if you guys know, but the remaster doesn't even have new art. It doesn't have new art. They didn't show new pictures. As a matter of fact, the pictures that they showed are the exact same pictures that were being put on social media today. Literally no difference. No updates to the graphical effects. I'm even seeing some people say that it looks like an upscale of the remaster that they had put out over a decade ago. So when I look at things like that, I can't call it anything but lazy. That's just lazy. There's too much money and too much support being poured into the franchise for it to be 20 years for people to just get their proper language. And it isn't even majority of them. At this point, it feels like the community, people that have done the fan translation, some that a lot of people love to put down because it's not quote unquote official, they have put in more work into making sure the community can thrive in that department than the actual creators themselves. That's very weird, I gotta call it. As a person that's been into Type Moon for over a decade at this point, the fact that this is what they decided to lead with, I'm looking at it in shock. So you already know the day ones, the people on Beast Lair, I know that they're sick. Bro, you should have seen the comments when they were like, sayonara, and they just cut the live stream. I'm like, yo, there's no way. People out here pouring salt in the wounds, talking about Tsukihime is better, keep on coping. I'm seeing threads already of people making fun of the people that thought there was gonna be a Fate route adaptation or anything of the sort. This is absolutely hilarious. Still a great day for Type Moon history. I don't want to somber the whole mood of the video because I'm still super grateful to be a part of the community and to say that I found Fate in general, to say that I found Type Moon in general, because I love their work. I love all the effort that they do put in, at least least in the things that they do decide to address. I've been making videos on their content for years. I hope it helped to some extent. I hope the people that follow me got at least a little bit out of it. I know some people have come to the channel and said, hey, you really pointed me in the right direction when I didn't know where to go. Even now, I've seen a lot of people say this recently. Every little bit helps, but I had to say something. I would be straight fraudulent if I didn't say anything, because that was crazy. Still keeping hope alive. You know that there's the Hollow Ataraxia anniversary coming up next year, the original Rialta Nua anniversary coming up in the next few years, so they do have ample opportunities to address that. But just looking at it for what it is, considering that they put this out, I can't even say that I'm looking to them doing a project of that nature, whether it be an adaptation or them flat out doing anything from the ground up at all, because from what it appears, it's a lot of remastering going on, which is cool. It's just that if you're gonna remaster after all this time, maybe you can throw in some extras, some additional scenes that we haven't seen from before, some behind the scenes of the way that you guys got to where you're at in the first place, you know, something real wholehearted. But the idea of them using the same cover art from 2007 and just slapping remaster on that is ridiculous. Same pictures, same photos that I just saw before the live stream came out. We gotta tighten up. Whatever the case may be, I still had a great time, still having one. The grind never stops. I'm not even close to being tired of Type Moon. Proud of them doing their 20 years, and I'm looking forward to 20 more. We also have them releasing the official version of the Heaven's Feel soundtrack, which I would have thought that it was already out at this point. I didn't even know that that hadn't been released yet, because the Heaven's Feel movies have been done since 2020. By now it's 2024, so yeah, glad to see them finally getting that out. Still falls in line with some of those things that we kind of should have had already, if I'm being honest. Soundtrack is set up to drop March 27th for anybody that's looking for that. Amazing soundtrack, by the way, but we know that the soundtrack is a really powerful tool for them, especially objectively some of the best music, some of the best production that I've heard in not just anime but in general. It really clears a lot of series. Sometimes I hear soundtracks and I don't even recall them being there, but Fate once again is iconic for that. Also seeing a lot of people say that they might use Altria in the remaster for anybody that cares or wants to have a lot of fun with that. And then we have some additional artwork from the creators themselves to celebrate this event coming back around. In the top left we got Ren, and you can kind of see Archer fading into the background, all black and white. They decided to not color this one. The dynamic duo from UB-Dub, how could you not give them their shine? Next one over appears to be a lot more modern. We got Sakura and her servant Medusa with the cherry blossoms in the background. Always a nice touch when it concerns bringing around her character, and they both look good. They both look excited to be there. We got Karin in the top right, who is Kirei's daughter. I feel like this is the oddest one out of all of them. Very weird posture that she has. I feel like they made this with the community in mind, but I do like the 20th sketch to the side, and I like the way that it's encased inside of her shroud. Only thing that's missing at this point is a little bit of my boy Angra, and maybe even Bazette if they were gonna decide to go the Hollow Ataraxia route. I'm surprised they prioritized that for the release of this instead of releasing some art for Hollow Ataraxia for the anniversary that's coming up. On the bottom left, we got a picture of Ilya once again in all black and white. Love the way that she's throwing up the peace signs with both of her hands and the way that she has them crossed. A lot of people may try to slight Ilya, but we gotta give credit where credit is due. She looks really nice here. I almost wish that it was colored, but I also think that it's fine just the way that it is. For the bottom middle, we have multiple characters on display. Starting off with Saber and Ren, we got Shiro and his future self Emiya holding up the white banner over everybody off to the side. And then at the bottom we got Medusa, Sakura, and Ilya, essentially the forefront characters of every single one of the routes. And they're all pretty much celebrating the anniversary in the picture itself. Really like the effort that was put into this one. And then finally, as a curveball, we have Kane in the middle from the Track Girl trio. We got Yukika to the right of her, And then to the left, you can't really tell because her entire face is in flame and she's shooting out fire, but I'm sure this is Kaede because they don't go anywhere without each other. It's only right that she's in the picture also. So I'm glad to see them getting some shine, as definitely needed. And then in the background, you got my girl, Curry Senpai, CL from Tsukihime. So this is more of a crossover as opposed to all of the other pictures that we had up until this point. And it appears that in the picture itself, Kaede has decided to try out some of CL's flatbread and found out the hard way, you might not be built for this. I'm sure that's the whole reason that she's there. It looks like she's running a stand. If anything, she should have had Kirei try some of her bread, since we all know with his love for Mapo tofu, he's ready for the heat at all times. Ultimately though, solid anniversary. Could have been better, always can be, but I was expecting more things that was fresh instead of kind of addressing things that, like I said, the community should have had to begin with, or just polishing off things that we already had. So I hope the follow-up anniversary is better. Love these characters, love this series. I learned a lot from getting into Fate itself. It goes way beyond just the work on its own. It got me interested into so many things, so many people, so many cultures that I more than likely wouldn't have beforehand, or if I did, it would have taken a longer time and I would have gotten to them through something else. So I'm glad Fate opened up that door for me in terms of mythology, in terms of history, and everything of the like.